version, and now we join the action here in the third round.
Do indeed. As VP breathing down the neck over on the A side of the map, but it's giving Na'Vi the run of the roost over on B for the time being. No one's pushed up into the con area, so Dark is clear. And 3 players from VP stuck outside of main side. Still tons of HE, still a smoke and a flash. And now that that smoke is beginning to fade on the A side of the map, Bit was thinking about going aggressive. The timing, though, gets caught with a flash out, but JL stands his ground and delivers. They can fall back onto the site now. And although Norbert had a couple of chances that HE could do a bit of damage, but Bit is taking the opportunity to back away. Mia's behind him, though. He pivots in from mid and shuts it down, but JL is keeping the dream for Na'Vi alive. Gives them a foundation, a springboard to leap off in this post plant.
Can they mount this retake? Wonderful. Not ready on the peak, playing on the angle. And Norbert takes the fight straight to them. Cuts his way through them like the carving knife and leaves it down on just Imma. Imma that won't be alive for very long. Butchered towards camera as Flit hits the head, and VP pick up all 3 of the rounds off the back of winning the pistol. Flit firing all cylinders already as well. 7 frags to his name at the minute, coming out absolutely swinging. Now that was Na'Vi with weaponry to play with as well. So they're going to be a bit broken, Vince. Used all their money in that previous round and just didn't look quick to the draw. Playing defensive again. We saw that on the first map of Overpass on their CT side. They were very slow to instigating fights. Playing on angles, playing in defensive positions, and it wasn't working for them. Taking the fight and setting the pace of the game is what CS2 seems to be all about right now. And that's what VP are doing from the get-go.
Looking at the stats as well, Jacky, it's quite interesting because Anubis is one of those maps that we discussed quite a few times in the open qualifiers. It can be very back and forth between whether it's CT or T's bias in terms of how teams are doing. On the side of VP, they're much better on the CT side. 53% win rate as opposed to 48% win rate on their T side of thing. But for Na'Vi, they're far superior on their T side. 57.7% on T rounds and only 43% on CT rounds. So we've got a very interesting kind of dynamic between these two teams where you'd fancy that VP should be in the lead come that second half, but once the second half starts, that's maybe where Na'Vi really come back into this, very reminiscent of that Overpass performance. So if Na'Vi even going down like 4-0, 5-0, it may not be alarm bells being required, but do you think the VP are capable of losing 2 massive leads back to back? I'm not sure what to expect from this one. They had a long time in between maps to have a good conversation or at least like mentally reset, so I would expect not. No, wonderful, surrounded by T players. Bomb plant over on the A side of the map is not long for this world. He's actually done no damage in this entire game so far in these 3 rounds. 0 ADR, no kills, no assists. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
His Deagle was looking pretty hot towards the end of the first map. But like you said, so overwhelmed in a spot like this is not going to work for him. He's found, he's tagged, and he's bagged. So VP get themselves 4 to start things off here. Reminiscent of the opening rounds we saw back on Overpass, where they were playing so confidently on their T side and were able to command a lot of respect. Na'Vi calling in a tactical timeout as well. They've already lost 1 rifle round into this game, and they know they're going to have a full buy to play with going back into the next. So they opt to do the smart thing, slow down the game, talk about it, figure out exactly what needs to change and what they want to do with the cash they're reinvesting. Wonderful was able to afford the AWP and armor, so he has the big green gun in his palms. Yet to frag though. Is this where that will change? And where are they going to send him? Obviously, with the AWP, you've got a lot of room to breathe on CT side of Anubis. You can command respect down towards the B canals, take the fight in the water. You can push out B main if you want to. Hell, you could just defend the entirety of A site from back heaven and play defensive, or take a peek out on middle. It seems like out of those options, he's going to be stationing himself towards B, just playing towards the CT run out, watching B main entrance. Jame, meanwhile, has a scope of his own, and he's holding connector.
Oh, that's a trade. They've got to get better with Imma. Needs to get that frag. A 1-for-1 trade, probably not good enough, all things considered for Na'Vi. It's going to give the T's that advantage to try and spread them that little bit thinner. May try and take the advantage through on mid side, which they're toying with right now in the hands of Mia, who was fantastic for VP towards the end of that OT. It wasn't quite enough. He's now taking a bit of mid-control. That's forcing and funneling away the 2 CTs from the A side of the map to go and check this one out. But Mia goes down without any kills. So much better news for Na'Vi, but they have conceded elsewhere on the map. James springs in with his AWP and keeps it all tied at 3 apiece. Wonderful goes for the peek, but the timing slightly works against him. Surely, though, he'll have Fame dead to rights if he peeks into his crosshair slowly. So Fame, has he spotted the foot? I think he has. He knows Wonderful's here. He just turned around and Wonderful's been splattered. It's all come apart again for Na'Vi. Only Bit remains and he's in no position to quell this bomb plant.
It's all falling to pieces. VP are going to find themselves with quite a commanding lead to start off the second map here. It's Na'Vi's turf as well. This is their pick. So for VP to have such a good start following a rough defeat at the end of the double overtime on Overpass, it'll work wonders to get their confidence building once again. All of them exchanging blows as well. Mer was the only one not to be able to find a frag into this round. Nearly a team ace on the cards for VP. And Bit forced to save, just lurking his way out back towards camera side and hoping to clutch on to what he's got. Will be able to carry the M4 and armor into the next round, but that's one of the few things they'll actually have into the next. Money's not going to be great, about 3k across the board. Room to invest into MP9s if they want to, but even then you're going to be spending a fair bit of money. Loss bonus has built relatively high though, as you've lost 5 rounds on the spin, so they're going to have that safety net of cash to work with. And it seems like the investment will be called in for just armor and deagles. Single scout purchased as well. That's on Alexi B, but he's dropped it over to Wonderful. So he's got the scout and armor.
Yeah, it's not really much to get excited by if you're on the side of Na'Vi here. Maybe JL can make some magic outside of the main side. It's Bit that takes the first shot. Flashbang in, taking the initiative instantly behind that, not waiting and seeing how Na'Vi react, but making a move into the empty space. Nade's being traded out by both teams, but Mia once again getting some aggression through on mid portion of the map. Flashed out but undeterred. He doesn't even need to really peek. If the end destination is going to be the A side of the map here, him being in mid is a real linchpin position. However, the bomb is dropped back at T-spawn. It's going to take a while to pick that one back up again. Na'Vi may go looking for information from Ema out on B. But for all intents and purposes here, Jacky, it's looking like we're going to get more of the same. 3-player stack on A. It could be a case that these Deagles really do rip through VP on the approach. We know they're very capable players with these guns. But you assume with all the utility that they have at their disposal, Flash is going to be raining in, smokes alongside it, and the execute should be solid.
Wonderful. Waiting for the push out. The more tags he finds, the easier it will be for JL to strike with the Deagle. But the full frontal assault of the scout from Wonderful does the job onto one man, slaying a single T, allowing JL to recover the Kalashnikov and begin his flank. Meanwhile, at middle, it's Norbert that bites back, removing the head from Alexi B. Imma, they tried to dive around the corner, wanted to draw his crosshair off the position. 7 seconds left on the clock. Wonderful arrives on the scene of the crime, but is struck down by Norbert. A nice round put together by VP. It was almost a calamity for them. A few near misses, a few small differences, and it could have been Na'Vi grabbing a bit of an upset one with just that single investment into pistols and the scout. Instead, VP bridge the gap, take 6, and Na'Vi once again spend their funds.
Yeah, as Basti was showing us there, Ema had that round in the palm of his hand. It was by no means easy, but he had to drop on 2 players in con and didn't really do much. Had he fragged down, the time itself would have done the rest for Na'Vi. As it stands, though, straight back into another buy. The fact that nobody has toppled 3 kills, though, shows how utterly one-sided this game has been. Jame yet to die. 1 kill onto Flit with 11 frags by his side. They have really struggled to get any success going. And although I was highlighting the stats before that Na'Vi's CT side much weaker than their T side, statistically speaking, what kind of a foundation are you going to have to build off? If you go down like 10-2, that might not be good enough. Wonderful. Big opening pick, though. And with a counter flash there, flicks in for a second. Exquisite work from Na'Vi's AWPer, and it can just back away with losing no points of health in the process.
Alexi B dashes the Molotov, blocking off the entry from Connector. Flit's going to be able to respond with a smoke of his own. Has the molly, looking for a lineup to burn towards the back pillar and potentially force Imma out of his position. Does land it, so he's going to recoil off of this and give a lot more space for the teams to play with. A few flashbangs go over the back. You get the deep nade in as well onto Connector. It's a nice amount of damage. Imma waits for the push, but his head is surgically removed as Fame strikes and brings us down to a 3v3. Time is tight, 25 seconds. The bomb's gone flying as well, all the way back over towards Con. They've got to grab that and instantly commit on a plant. Norbert's there to at least defend from the back, but it's a flank on a flank, Vince, as Bit swamps up on him, slaps him down, and leaves it all on Flit in a 1v2.
And he is the man you'd want for the job right now. He is on fire. 13 kills, albeit he's low, but his aim is on point. Wonderful's barrel is going to betray him. It's a free kill, but Flit doesn't snatch at it. He's calm. He's collected. And he's on the prowl. This round could very well go in his favor. First kill down, but Wonderful connects with the AWP. He played it so well, Flit. He'll be devastated he didn't get that clutch, and that would have been a back-breaking moment for Na'Vi. They hold on by the skin of their teeth, but it's not as if they can fall back into a solid buy here, Jacky. They are struggling with 4 casualties. Yes, they'll have M4s and an AWP, but VP can sense the weakness.
The blood's in the water. And they know that they can strike back and instantly deal some damage onto this team again. Respond off the back of the open wounds they found. Okay then, round 8 going live, minute and 40 on the clock. Early control towards middle from the T's. They're setting this one up with James looking for the entry on the AWP. He's going to attempt to peer his way in. Does get smoked off. JL dashes that out. It'll plume and block off the angle, at least for now. This is just a default being run from VP. They want to see if there's going to be any overextension from the Na'Vi roster. If they push the extremities towards A or B, or if they try and command respect at middle. If given that opportunity, they can take some map control. Don't have to commit to the mid play, but if you at least push up towards the doors, it second guesses Na'Vi's setup. It makes them think maybe they're going to go through camera. Then you can wrap back and finish on a B site if you wanted to. Bombs left towards T spawn as well. So no full commit from VP, but at least posturing to take map control.
His spray on point. Does take a bit of damage though in the process. Does afford the luxury of VP having the advantage once more. James wants to barrel the gun. He can't deny his teammate from falling down and doesn't take the most of that opportunity. Allows Bit to get the kill and back away. Mia is going to be scratching his head and wondering how the hell that just happened. I know Alexi, caught between 3 separate players, throws down the incendiary to buy up a little bit of time and force away the T's, but he is living on such an awkward spot. Second incendiary down as well, was tossed out from previously. He's doing a really good job of stalling. And with 18 seconds left on the clock, now VP are going to feel the pressure. They have to apply it directly to the heads of these players on these entries. Bit sprays, but it's slightly off, and that may afford them the luxury of a frag here on the hands of James. And Wonderful in no position to stop them. It's going to be around to VP. Na'Vi with a 1 and done.
Their first round and their last round in quick succession here, as VP will extend their lead another step further. 7 under the belt. And Fame might even be able to lay claim to the frag on Wonderful. Backstabs him, so no salvaged AWP, no saved weapon, and the money is not there for them, Vince. They really needed to clutch onto that scope to have any sort of benefit to their buy on the CT side. Instead, it's going to be scraps that you've got to work with. Economy is instantly thrown into the bin, and their CT side is looking flat. VP are absolutely dominating right now, and one man is heralding this. It's all on Flit. He's been having countless monstrous rounds, and they've just been looking so good. Back into it, round 9. VP with a far better buy, just deagles basically for Na'Vi. And what's the setup looking like? Already they're rotating quite early on. You've got 4 players now stationed towards camera side. figuring out if this is going to be a play towards A or not. The bomb's postured back towards middle as well, just been dropped, so they don't have to commit to anything. And with the range advantage you've got, you can just wait and see what the CTs do. If they push in, if they give you any free frags to build off of.
But I do just throw and play a bit of devil's advocate here, Jacky. We saw a very similar situation on Overpass, and we know how that map ended. VP threw away a massive lead, a fast lead, as Ema throws away a chance at a kill. That was rough. That was a bit awkward to watch, and I think he was snatching at that opportunity. Maybe a bit of desperation creeping in here. Understandable if a few of these players are a little bit mentally fatigued after that marathon of a first map, with chaos sprinkled in for good measure. And a comfortable take for VP with a comfortable post plan and a comfortable round will be falling its way into their position, meaning an 8-1 lead will be in spot. And whatever happens from this point forward, VP are going to have a commanding lead come that second half. I expect good things for Na'Vi when the tables turn. I'm just a little bit concerned if they'll have anything to really play off come that second half, as Norbert had a very good first map, continuing to twist the knife in the side of Na'Vi. A bit of casualties coming in, but of course this round is a done deal. There's no kits. They want to try and maybe pick up a couple of these AKs and make this a costly round for VP, but they got tons of cash. They're just fine to replenish their buy. I don't think Na'Vi are going to survive to live to tell the tale. Solid damage done, but in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really matter.
Yeah, just a flash in a pan for damage. It's VP that really have been the driving force behind this game consistently so far. Where does it end, though? When will it end? That's the question. Or can VP continue this throughout the entirety of the half? There is at least money once again. It's not bailed out Na'Vi in the past when they have had a full buy. But maybe this will be a bit of a difference. Wonderful, definitely changing the pace of the game with how he's playing it. He goes for the full A main push. Pre-scoped in to not give up the audio cue. And looking for an opening pick. Flashed off the angle, forced to fall back. Doesn't get away. Does turn though. Re-instigates the fight. And somehow wins out on that one. Striking to shut down Fame. That's a big first pick. And more importantly, he's still alive. So the battle of attrition favoring Na'Vi. They can rotate him off. They instantly switch places. Bit the fence towards B. Oh no, James. Oh, what a nightmare, Vince.
I assume that Norbert just walked in front of his AWP the second James pulled the trigger. It does sometimes happen in that transitional phase. It can backfire. James looks like a mug, but it could have been Norbert's mistake. And now James has to pick up the pieces as grenades land left and right. And Wonderful straps himself into a 3K, arriving when necessary. And the man mountain himself, as you highlighted, flit on a tear. Well, there's not many options available to him. And to make matters worse, he's lost control over the bomb, which is over on the B main side. Yeah, that is super, super uncomfortable if you are on the side of VP. But I guess they just got to laugh this one off and focus on the fact they still have a tremendous lead, a tremendous position, and do not let lightning strike twice. I think Flit also is in a bit of a hunter-seeker mode here because he knows if he dies, it's no problems. He can buy again. If he can take a few weapons away from Na'Vi here, that is going to be worth so very much. Lexi's health is unknown, gets finished off now. Molotov toss behind it, goes down. Na'Vi know the round is theirs. I would urge them not to get too over-aggressive here and try and take down Flit. The risk is certainly not worth the reward. Ema still goes in, though, takes the kill. They're going to be able to trade up an AK at the very least. But Na'Vi, they pick up their second round.
2 rounds left at the end of the first half here. Na'Vi, if you can win the next 2, it isn't the worst position to be in. An 8-4 half, it's only the difference of 4 rounds. You can still keep it close, keep it competitive. If you win a pistol, you could definitely bridge that gap in a pretty speedy manner. We'll see, though. We'll let the game play itself out and see where we end up. For now, again, battle of 2 AWPers towards middle. James could be walking into the scope, peeking from the off angle. Oh, he's quick with it. Slaps his way through Wonderful's defense and cracks open middle, applying far more pressure. Na'Vi now have to band-aid fix it by sending JL to recover the scope Ooh, gets a bit awkward on the entry towards A, though. Fame was hoping maybe he could make a maneuver in and look for the peak on A main. Gets smoked off, hits him in the back of the head. He gives up the goose on that one. They do still have an edge. You've got the opening pick, and you can play out the round. Minute on the clock, so no need to go crazy. You can see where the air takes you on this one.
Yeah, they can just go with the flow for the time being and see if Na'Vi maybe get a bit itchy, a bit restless, and go looking for a fight they don't necessarily have the advantage in. VP certainly more warmed up on the server, and it's an amazing situation to see just how fast James has pivoted around his fortunes from that first map. Bit gets one, JL re-peaks for a second. Oh, the flash wrecks him, but he still takes the head of Mia and puts him in a body bag. James, the next up, does bait out the shot. They punish him. Do they expect a second player to be here? They must know that enough time has elapsed that the rotation could have came through. Still 20 seconds. Emus had a rough day at the office so far on Anubis. And Alexi's not fared much better. He was a beast in the first map as well, coincidentally, but the spray isn't there from IM, and he gets punished. The bomb spills out into the open, and James has to pick up the bomb and run straight to the site. Getting planted down. This HE, wrong side of the pillar. James is softened up, and this battle of the IGLs will commence. There is a kit in the hands of Alexi. Doesn't have to go too aggressive here, and James is putting all of his marbles on the Heaven Peak. He's giving his back up to Alexi as it stands, and Alexi will oblige by slowly maneuvering round. There's no surprises as to where either of these players are, and now Alexi comes back in again. He's going to try and catch James in an awkward spot. Tons of damage inflicted again, and does get his opposite number in just the nick of time. It's another super close, super scrappy round, but Na'Vi have got it done.
Huge pickup, though. In the grand scheme of the game, it will help them a lot here. It will give you so much more stock to work with. 8-3. Can they bridge the gap a little bit more? Give themselves somewhat more of a buffer. Make it 8-4 and make this a potential reality for them to get back into the game here. VP have been firing on all cylinders, but maybe Na'Vi, the sleeping giants, are starting to wake up. And that would put them in a good position going into their T half. Double setup towards A main. Ooh, bit of a pre-fire. James, is he aware? Does he think he's been spotted on this one? Flash off the back of his teammate to peek in and look to re-clear the angle. No joy. Reposition from James. He's been smooth with the shots he's been delivering into this map. Been a lot better than what we saw back on Overpass for him. But no success on the re-aggression towards middle. Him up. Looking for the push-up on close connector as well. Has the Molotovs. Their flit doesn't one-tap him. He can dash the molly and back off.
That's exactly the play, isn't it? Throw the Molotov down, make sure he doesn't get rushed, and he can retreat back to the site. Actually decides to just pull the pin now, which has been smoked out instantly. That was information gathered. His flit was getting tagged regardless of that smoke being placed down. So good timing on the molly, and there's still a lot of utility available for Na'Vi. Tons to choke out this game. 2 smokes and incendiary. The VP have kept their options open. Now starting to transfer their way over onto the A side of the map. But Wonderful is laid here in wait with the AWP. There are flashes available. A well-placed HE, well-timed, is softening up a couple of targets here. And JL's going to oblige with the first. Spins back in again. Mia takes a little bit of damage through the double doors, but Wonderful missing the shot. Costs his teammate his life. Gets the second one, though, the one that really counts. And that drops the bomb onto the ground. 18 seconds left on the clock, and it's all down to James.
James, oh, nearly hits the mark on the first shot through the smoke, but it won't happen. The AWPer on the CT side, Wonderful himself, picks up the pieces. 13 frags to his name. Has been delivering a lot more the longer this series has gone on. 8-4, the coveted scoreline, Vince. They close the gap. They make it look like maybe there is still room for a comeback. Similar sort of situation that we saw back on the first map, and we know how that story went. They get put onto their T side now. A pistol round really is the difference maker. If you win the pistol, you project yourself back into this game. You put yourself in a position where you can definitely mount a comeback with the sheer amount of rounds you can win in a row to close the distance. They need to have a big start. Got to put their best foot forward going into this pistol. Bombs left down early outside of T-spawn. 3 players gravitating towards A main. Bomb's going to be collected, and they're wrapping around for this. They've got a utility set as well. You could smoke off camera, get the molly in front. Wonderful has the flashbangs for entry.
Yeah, they have the pieces of the puzzle, but can they place it correctly? Because Virtus.Pro have 3 players in close proximity. It just takes one of these guys to pop off, and this round can get out of control real quick, but instead the flash is good, and the follow-up damage from PGL and Alexi B is on point. This is a clean take. They didn't even need the smoke. They didn't even need all of that utility. Now they're going to toss down the smoke onto cams. The job is already done. And VP will be backing away. No point of health has been done on either Norbert or Flit, so they can upgrade their armor if they need to, go in for a full buy into the next round. That won't be happening for Flit. He's not afforded that luxury. Removes his head, does bit lightning fast. And Norbert can hear steps around him. But this round is a done deal. And this is where, Jacky, I was talking about this even when VP had a pretty strong lead, 4-5-0 in the lead. The Na'Vi's T side is something to be reckoned with. This is going to be a difficult, uncomfortable situation for VP to find themselves in, because Na'Vi are so relentless on this T half.
Yeah, it's not going to get any easier now. We saw just how good they were when they were activated in T-side overpass as well, where they start being able to play for the trades, play with the pace of the game a lot more. And Anubis, if you're confident on your T side, it's your stomping ground. It's a map where you really can absolutely dominate. So if they can at least close the gap, get it back to a near neck and neck scoreline, there's a lot more you could do with this. Seems like a bit of a slower round for VP, kind of talking it out, having a bit of a chin wag, figuring out what exactly they want to do on this one. Obviously, it is just basically an eco. It's only one player in Norbert that has any real firepower, so you can just dilly-dally. Make sure you don't die early, so you've got more time to figure out what exactly you want to do in the preceding rounds. Big Kev, Existence, kind of, really brought these into the forefront way back in the days of CS. Existence timeouts, they used to be called, because you would basically just use out rounds like this to figure out what you want to do. So that's what's going on here. Meanwhile, Na'Vi playing cautious, use all their utility to clear out towards the site, and bit by bit, start to make their move in to get the bomb down and secure this one.
Slow and steady wins the race. Make sure you don't accidentally walk into a crossfire and suddenly with this full assault rifle purchase lose 2 or 3 weapons. Doesn't make for the most exciting Counter-Strike to watch, but it's understandable on both sides why this is the tactic that has been deployed. Norbert will want to hold on to these Julies, but more importantly the Kevlar into that next round. So I'd expect to see 4 of those players maybe try and make a move and get some exit frags. They may not realize as well that there's no MAC-10s in play. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. If you're VP, you kind of don't want to feed across tons of cash that is unrequired. It's not necessary. May not realize that Galil's 4 of them in total are on the battlefield. So it seems like we're going to survive with all 10 players making a move into the next round. A bit of a pacifist round. But Na'Vi at least getting the demolitions and making sure those bomb fuses work. VP, though, into a buy. They have an AWP. I just saw one picked up. James going to be donning that one. And a lot of M4s alongside it. So let's see if they can stave off the early rot here on their CT side, or if Na'Vi gets straight back in neck and neck.
That's the big question. First real test for them into the second half. And VP, with the AWP on James, what does he get up to? Obviously, like we said previously, there is a lot of options to be quite a dynamic AWPer on CT side of Anubis. You can take a lot of fights, set a lot of pace to the game if you want to just go for those swings and try and inflict damage early. Look for those opening picks in the first few seconds of a round. He gravitates back round towards A. Okay, common setup here. 2 players playing towards the pillar. He can stay tucked in. After you get contact onto the rifler, he can then swing and attempt to deal damage with the AWP. Teams don't overcommit onto anything too early though. Bit of a spam down on the connector smoke that's gone up. Flit just shoots his way through it. A few flashes over the corner as well to take A main control. Ooh, James actually got a bit of a curt angle on this one. Playing on an off angle towards the right-hand side, but the utility ruins his life. Has to give up the position now.
Yeah, he falls back. Thing is, though, if that doesn't get fully aggressed on by Na'Vi, he can re-attain that same position, but they are going for a rotation. Clearly, a call or a read was made from James. A rotation through into the temple side will be made. He gets the drop, he gets the timing. That's just what VP were looking for. It equalizes the odds as well in terms of manpower, but James missed a shot. Isn't fully punished. Slight gap in the smoke on Heaven will be exploited by Fame as he expunges the oncoming bit. And now the pillaging and the plundering of A-Site may have been quelled. Or maybe it's going to pick back up again. Maybe a second wind comes in. Ema's got some success, and James caught between 3 different players. Unbeknownst to him, if he peeks around this corner, he could be a dead man, but that patience can be proving to be a virtue as he nails Wonderful, and this 2v2 commences. Timer's not that low either. JL's going to have a lot of work to do. Spray through the smoke, gives his position away and gets nothing for it. Pop flash out as well, but doesn't peek behind that. He's going to use the smoke as a shroud, as a bit of coverage to try and get round the back of these 2 CTs. The bomb has been tickled. He doesn't realize it, but neither of them have the kit. He just spotted Flit drop back onto the site, but the spray is off. However, there's not enough time. He's done it. Na'Vi claimed the round, even though all 5 players die.
On a knife's edge, you can feel the tension in the air between these two. But Na'Vi's dream is at least achieved. They find success in all 3 of the opening rounds going into the second half. The pistol was a much-needed one. Winning that round, nevertheless, how they get through it is very important as well. Now you're 1 away from equalizing the game, and VP are basically broken. On their last legs of economy, they pump all their money back into it to support the one salvaged weapon, the AWP, on James. But it's got to find a lot of impact. 2 5.7s at the bookends on either round at the buy. And then it's the M4, the MP9, and that all-important AWP. James plays close towards A main with the utility he's got as well, a single smoke. Not much nades. VP really are bone dry when it comes to the util belts. So if you make any mistakes early, get overzealous with that nades, you won't really have too much when it comes to the push in a late round. Round 16 so far, giving a bit of map control up to Na'Vi, letting them test the waters towards close connector. JL second guesses it though, doesn't go for the raw push in, instead revs his engine for a couple flashes, whilst the rest of the team groups up outside.
I think it's also this delay tactic from Na'Vi is definitely a solid one. They know that VP's economy is in a rough spot, and the kind of lack or any kind of utility that's at their disposal. By playing slow, you will draw that out. They've done a good job of holding on to the bulk of it, but oh no, but couldn't do much about that. An insta headshot from JL. Slick and crisp aim on the approach. And although James AWP has sang once, it's going to be a solo effort. There's no backup to help him out. He's going to have to back away and save that one. M4 not available to pick up for VP for the time being, but they will be able to hold on to a second set of Kevlar on the hands of Fame. It does mean, though, that Na'Vi, after being behind the entire map, after weathering the storm of the CT side and the CT economy, are going to be drawing this one back level at 8-8. And in a very solid position on top of it. Their money isn't great either, by the way. Like, they can't really afford to throw in a few more AKs at this stage. They will be able to buy into the next one, but they know that VP also will be able to buy. So you do have the risk of potentially putting yourself into a bad spot here. Hence them calling a halt to the hunt. They are going to allow James to survive with this AWP and come back again in the next round. But we're all even again, Jacky. Almost an identical situation to Overpass.
It feels so familiar, doesn't it? It's like deja vu all over again. This is how the first map was going. And Anubis seems to be delivering. It's giving us another one of these big games where both sides are really trying to invest absolutely everything into it. Tooth and nail level gameplay. And it begins again. So who will take the lead? Who will be able to get themselves a little bit further ahead towards picking up this second map? Wonderful. Changes the pace on the early connector push. He wanted to go fast and furious, look for the early opener. He's warded off by the Molotov. Bit takes a few points of damage from the HE on the fadeaway as well. And James just defends, stalwart towards middle. has both sets of offensive utility still remaining, the HE and the Molotov. So if need be, you can waste a bit of time and potentially deal some more chip damage. JL is trade places with Bit as he backs off, and so does Wonderful, rotating round more so towards the A site. As they've got the bomb to work with, they clear the close cubby of A main and deep smoke in. Bit bypasses it and looks to see if anyone's right here to get the pickup onto them. Meanwhile, Alexi B, he's walked in towards middle. Oh no. James could have a very rude awakening in the next few seconds here.
It feels like he's living on borrowed time. Alexi seems to have a good read as well, that he's definitely here. He must have heard him scope in. He has some kind of information, or perhaps not. Oh, he second-guessed himself. Or maybe he's trying to use the advantage to get the drop on a few of these players when they try and rotate back in again. This may be completely unnecessary, though, because the T's are hammering, barraging onto the B side and getting tons of success in the process. So that whole Alexi James situation has gone by and passed. And now Alexi joins the rest of his teammates. James probably had no idea that he was just mere milliseconds away from his demise. And now on the exit, misses his shot, forced away. It's going to be yet another save from VP, and yet another T round for Na'Vi as they take the lead for the first time on Anubis. Catapult themselves into the lead, and the nature of how these rounds have been coming down as well, with just so much solid entry fragging power, Jacky. It looks like VP are out of gas. Maybe we're going to see some kind of a tactical timeout deployed in the next round, or maybe before the next rifle round. But Na'Vi have been pretty much flawless on this T-half so far.
They've been looking really good, man. Just coming out swinging. Slow rounds, speedy rounds, the way they're playing off of one another. All in all, let's look at the facts. 5 rounds now in a bag for them. You've gone from trailing massively into this game to now being in the lead for what feels like the first time in a very long time. And for VP, like you said, what's the answer? Does seem like they want to take a step back, have a breather for a few moments. So tactical timeout is called in. They're going to try and decipher what they do with the money available and what plays need to be changed in terms of their setups. Because Na'Vi have actually had a lot of control for free. They're being able to basically walk their way into the B site consistently, but it's also how they're applying pressure on middle. Even if they're not taking the fights, as we've seen, they're bypassing the setup. So they're confident at just being able to waltz their way down mid with their default nade set. For VP, you can't keep giving up all this space for free. They've got to check them a little bit here, Vince. They've got to change their style of play, catch them off guard, because now more than ever, they need to win a round.
Yeah, exactly. This must feel like kind of fate itself is working against you as everything just slips away. But of course, the irony of that is fate has no bearing on how this game goes down. You still have the power, VP, to bounce back into this. You still have the ability to turn this in your favor. You've had a chat, you've had a chinwag, and now it's time to find out what their play is. 3-player stack early on the B side of the map. Pretty standard stuff across the board. Holding onto their utility, though. Still tons of mollies. Smokes at their allocation. Connector is going to see a lot of action early on, but no damage as a result of that. It's more flirtation. It's more puffing up their chests and trying to assert dominance. Bit of damage to Alexi. That is a sound cue, but I don't know if anyone was close enough to hear that. Mia was the closest player. I'm not sure if he realizes that Alexi's already snuck his way into the smoke. And the fact he has an incendiary out here tossing on the other side of the door suggests to me he probably doesn't.
He just takes the peek. It almost felt like he had thrown that one away, mate. But yeah, he clears it. Gets the shot off onto Alexi B in the end. Okay, responds back though. Imma. He'll be able to fire him one. I mean, you've got a lot of room. You've got into the bomb site. The flank is coming in quickly though. And they haven't quite committed onto the plant yet. Wonderful. Trap towards the back by Pillar. Oh, the smoke's going to fade, Vince. He's not looking in the right location. Nearly 2 frags found from Flit on the rapid response. Jane peeks in with a scavenged AWP and punishes. It's all unbit. 12 HP in a dream.
And he knows as soon as he taps that bomb, he's going to get aggressed on. Intelligently decides not to do that. He's going to be running out into the hands of Jane, or Fame, I should say. The other component of those 2 players. And is rectified. So the tactical timeout has yielded results. VP back into winning ways. The first time on the CT side And maybe I got the complete misread. I'm thinking Mir didn't realize Alexi was there. Perhaps he was Molotoving the backside of the double doors to isolate Alexi so he could take that 1-for-1 trade. And we've been talking about Peek's advantage, a real thing in CS2, that allowed him the luxury of going to peek in, clean that angle out, and back away. Very well played, whichever way it happened, whichever way it came down. It looks like Na'Vi going to be picking up the pace. They're rushing straight through mid with Mac 10s.
Okay, here we go. Thing is, they kind of pull the plug on that one a little bit too early. The single tap from the Molotov slows them down. The Mac 10 just needs to go in, look as to be that entry tool. Even if Alexi B dies, just close a bit of the distance. Instead, they pull the plug on it, get absolutely battered with the M4, and do have to trade 1-for-1. Imma uses a lot of HP though, down to 71. And now, where does Na'Vi go from here? You've got map control. You've actually forced so much of a rotation as well, with all of the CTs beginning to buffer the defense round towards the B site, expecting it to be a late finish there, with the early pressure put on middle, knowing they can either push through mid, come up, rotating in through Temple, or double back through Connector and slip in together. But they've stuck to their guns, just waiting outside of A. Should they commit to this though? 47 seconds left on the clock. Utility-wise, you've got double smoke, Molotov, HE. And the only person that looks like maybe they're debating a rotate is Fame. He's playing back towards CT spawn. But if they go in the next sort of 4 to 5 seconds here, they're going to have a free site.
Yeah, it almost is reminiscent of like a pistol setup when you have 5.7s and Deagles, Jacky, where it's like you go for the gamble stack, and if they hit the other site, you just save. But this is in a 9-9 situation where you're effectively giving a 10th round to Na'Vi if they choose the right angle, which they have. And now you're in a position where you have 2 smokes, you have a HE and 1 kit between 4 players to retake with, and you're crossing your fingers and hoping that maybe Norbert can get an entry here over on main side. A very head-scratching moment for VP. Have they overthought it? Have they basically pushed themselves into a disadvantageous position again, especially as Norbert's been found and pushed away? There's nothing for VP to do here but safe. I mean, it's a gamble stack, I get it. I appreciate the balls in that play, but it's completely backfired.
That's the thing about 50-50s like that. They can work out perfectly, or they can leave you with absolutely nothing. And in this instance, it's Na'Vi that will be able to find success from that one. Another round in the bag. 10-9. And let's keep in mind as well, the first round, VP were even able to win over the course of this entire half was in round 18. Other than that, we've seen nothing from them. They just haven't been able to hit the mark here, haven't been able to hit the broadside of a barn on their CT side. You do have funds. Of course, that was the gamble. That's what pays off from it. That you are able to keep those weapons in fruition into the next round. But now you need to make them work, because the hot commodity isn't how much cash you've got. It's what the number is at the top of the screen. And at the minute, they're starting to give up a lot of stock to the T side. James, cheeky self-break on the smoke with the HE. Peeks back down in canals. Gets the read, sure, but gets nothing for it.
Yeah, you hit that on the head. I mean, it was all designed to get as much utility as possible. The problem with that is you backed yourself into a corner where if you are unsuccessful in this round, you're effectively putting yourself into a huge gulf in rounds and allowing Na'Vi just a couple steps away from victory. And keep in mind, already 1-0 up, this would be Na'Vi qualifying for the RMRs. They would be 3-0. VP would fall into the 2-1 bracket. We're not there just yet, but Na'Vi are just steps away. And VP already expending a lot of their utility. Only 1 smoke left with 50 seconds. 2 incendiaries, but now that smoke has also been tossed out. IM doesn't seem to give a damn. He's going to rush straight through, and Norbert nearly gets caught with a nade out there. He does get caught. He had no idea. The outrageous tenacity and temerity of Imma just to push through that smoke. It has afforded them the luxury of getting a couple of entries, but James has snuck his way round the back. The look with the AWP here, Jacky. He could be the ace up the sleeve. They need to take this round.
He's biding his time. Step by step, will he clear towards JL though? Sees the first player, back turned. Oh, bypasses the repeak as well, so the CT side still in position to make moves on this one. JL buckles under the pressure, wonderful, clacks the head of the first man, knows where they both are, Vince. He's got information on this one, just has to deliver the deathly blows, but it's only good enough for 2 frags. Can't get all of the pickups on that one. So the defuse will fall in favor of James. The game goes back to 10-10. Wonderful. Almost pulling off a despicable clutch in the 1 versus 3. But it's 3 frags to his name, not the quad kill, not 4, and it won't be an 11th round. The game's tied once again. And he read them like a book as well. Knew exactly where they were. Knew that James was trapped on the rotate coming back in from, towards B main. Knew there was a player in connector, and he looked on the money with those AK shots. 17 kills to his name right now, but not an 11th round. Tactical timeout called in by Na'Vi. They slow down the game again, and realizing this is a position they've been in before, Vince, we've seen this exact scoreline on the first map.
Precisely, but I think they'll still feel like they're in the driver's seat, not just in terms of the fact that they have enough funds to go back in for another buy, but also these 2 lone CT rounds have been off the back of like one super close clutch and another round just backfiring early on, getting shut down in mid. So they should have supreme confidence in their abilities. James is down into a 5-7. I'm assuming he's going to have the AWP alongside that, of course. But it is a game well and truly on. Yeah, the nature and how Na'Vi was so aggressive through that smoke. It was Emo, I think, pushed the smoke, nearly got the free kill onto Norbert. Was able to survive with a slither of health. I love that Na'Vi is showing that they don't give a damn about smokes and flashes, though. It's going to keep VP conditioned to always be on their tiptoes. Never to take anything for granted. Na'Vi not being predictable here, but taking mid-control early on through the canals. And Flick getting caught in his own smoke and flash in the source. Ends up nading himself, but not too much damage at least.
Four players lurking outside of A main. James, he's been rocking this angle quite a few times today. Likes playing from pillar to post and attempting to peek in with the AWP. Wants Fame to take the contact. Response with a Molotov is a little bit too delayed. He wins out on the first gunfight. James able to re-peek. Hits 1. Second's good as well. So he doubles up on entry, slowed them down massively and derailed the push. At this point, you leave Na'Vi scratching their heads. They've got a minute of time, sure, but you're so low on firepower. Only a duo remains. It's just JL and Wonderful. Yeah, they've been hitting some good shots tonight. But how do you make this round still work? You wrap back towards mid, you got the bomb on your back. There is an opportunity. I mean, look at the map control here. Camera is open, but 2 players are closing that gap now. They're going to be on either end. You've got mid control, but Norbert doesn't commit. He rotates back off. It's all on Mer. If he misses out on a first shot, it could go down the pan quite quickly. That's contact from JL. They've got to go fast, though. 19 seconds left on the clock. Oh, they're fragmenting, Vince. They split up. They leave themselves in a bit of a rough position. But JL and Flick's panic shuts down on 2. The bomb's going to be planted. It's all on the retake. Can they deny this plant?
Oh, Norbert runs straight out into a flash, bounces off his dome, gets destroyed. Flick can't do any better. A 2v4 clutch in the dying embers of this match. Qualification dangling ahead of Na'Vi, and they've pulled it out of the fire. VP are going to be devastated. That had to be their round, Jacky. They would have broken Na'Vi's economy. They would have had every advantage going through to finish this map strong. And instead, 2 hero plays from JL and Wonderful carve a path through the middle. I've got to say that rotation was very slow from VP, however. And James was caught napping, looking at main, assuming it would be a 2-pronged hit. Not the case. Na'Vi punished VP so devastatingly.
That's wild. That's absolutely wild. Yeah, and I'm right there with you. It's one of those where as much as it was a beautiful play from JL with how he commanded respect with the AK, VP played into it. VP played into the palm of his hand. They kept giving him 1-for-1s. The rotates were slow. And like you said, James, where was he? What was he doing? So convinced there's going to be a repeat towards A main when everyone's breathing down your neck from camera. Really, really weird one in terms of the way it played out. And it's a rough round to lose as well. That breaks the camel's back. That's VP basically now just staring defeat in the face. If Na'Vi pick up this round, they're going to be stuck on 12. No, they have match point. No, they have series point as well. as they've already won Overpass. For Virtus.Pro, there was a timeline where they could take this to Inferno. Now it's looking scary. Now it's looking like the chance of us to making it there is getting slimmer. Will they go quietly into the night, though? Or can they battle back with this hodgepodge of a buy? Look what they're playing with. A single M4 for Mur. Everyone else just down to the Famouses, the MP9, even James, only with a P250 to his name.
Yeah, with the M4 in tow. HE's being traded back and forth. Solid damage inflicted early on, but JL just sneaks in. Double spray is good. And now Norbert caught in so many angles and so much bother has been put down with mercy from Bit. An abrupt plant from Na'Vi as they take a giant step towards the RMR in Romania. Next month, that'll be taking place. Mia and Jane. They'll hate to make this decision, but the logical choice is to save the M4 they have. To save the Kevlar that they possess currently. In the hands of James as well. It sucks. You hate to do this, but it has to be done. It will put Na'Vi into 2 match points, into 2 qualification points, and put VP into that 2-1 bracket. They'll have to go again with another best of 3. But Jacky, there'll be that mind screwing voice in the back of their head telling them, guys, we had a vast lead on both maps. We could have even won this game 2-0 ourselves. And now we're on the brink, on the precipice of being knocked out 2-0 and allowing Na'Vi to qualify ahead of us. They had this match in the palm of their hands. They really did, Jacky. How do you deal with that? How do you mentally reset in this situation?
It's going to be so frustrating, Vince. It's going to be absolutely awful to deal with. These are the sort of games, these are the sort of series that keep you up at night, that you're sat there thinking about over and over again when you're trying to sleep. That 2 versus 4 is just a round that you shouldn't have lost. Man, even forgoing and forgiving what happened back on the first map of Overpass, just that round alone is enough to absolutely ruin you. JL hits the scroll wheel that stays alive. Still in the game for now. We'll stick with it. We'll stay in the present moment. We'll live through VP because it's up to them to keep themselves alive. Or like you said, Na'Vi will stamp their ticket to the RMR. The first RMR for CS2 live in Romania at the PGL studios. So much on the line for this. The difference of even having a chance of getting stickers in the game, being immortalized in the first Counter-Strike 2 major, all relies on the next few rounds of this series. Mur battling through middle. There's a lot of damage onto Alexi B. Both of them barely limping out of that one. Norbert, he's had a big game. He's had a big series, but with just a UMP in his hands. What does he even do here? Beyblade of a Molotov comes swinging around a corner to force him out of that position. A couple taps onto him as well, so they're going to know that he's playing here. You've got the AKs. They just need to hit the mark. UMP dispatches the first. Peppered in the back. He's low on HP, but he's still standing. Finally falls as JL strikes.
Oh, Wonderful gets one, but traded back straight away. Connector control is established, but Fame in a 1v1, what could very well determine this round. It'll put a lot more pressure on James stuck at the back of the site. And Mia's also there. But Mia does get dispatched. James has wiggled his way round on the B main side, not for the first time. The spray's good. JL with it all to do, and he goes down to the hands of Fame. We go one more round. We're not done just yet. VP, very similar to the Overpass performance, had a huge lead, let it slip, and then came back right at the end to take us to overtime. They're 1 round away from repeating that same performance. It will be a full investment from Na'Vi, and a solid one at that with a post plan. Have everything they want, but VP awakening again when it truly counts.
The sleeping beast is waking back up. Is it too late though? Have they hit snooze on the alarm clock 1 too many times? That's the big question. VP. Like we said time and time again in this series, they've just been inches away from closing it, inches away from being the team that makes it at least a map up, at least a position closer to that RMR. Now Na'Vi still have one final chance. Do or die on this, and it's not a great start, Vince. Overtime could be bubbling to a boil as instantly we see IM go down. Imma out of action. Ooh, JL taking a heavy hit as well. JL, he's been fantastic He's put this team on his back quite a few times, but with such little HP to play with and a missed nade in connector, they might not realize that Flit is right here waiting for the peak. Molotov out as well, forces him back, but even more health knocked off him.
Oh, man, this guy is surviving so long from all these grenades, but VP putting on a clinic. Effectively, no real bullets have been fired in this engagement, and yet Ema down. JL, 10 HP. Trying to save this match to take us to overtime. We had multiple in the first map. Eyeing up more here. And Almia shoulder peeking in with the Molotov. Gets spotted. He's going to have time. Decides not to throw the molly, actually. He's playing a little bit more passively, a bit more patiently. And with time around 30 seconds, you can understand why. This trade between him and Alexi could finalize where this bomb ends up going. He can hear the pitter-patter of footsteps. Alexi's going to need to have a lot of impact here. He's going to need to have it quickly as well, because he's very aware of the time. He knows his teammates are waiting. They're loaded. They're waiting to be shot into that site. And Alexi is going to have the drop. The spray's not quite there. It doesn't allow him to transfer for the second, and that could be the moment where VP snatch this away and take it into OT again. JL, no post-plant available. We go to overtime again. How is this possible? It keeps happening for VP.
Mate. Oh, that's so rough. It stings, Vince. It stings. The salt in the wound. The backstab from Alexi B that all the stock was put on. An all-or-nothing play where you need him to find at least 2 of those frags. It absolutely had to have been 2. The difference is it wasn't clean on the first. You give away your position, it all goes wrong. It all goes away from you. And the Na'Vi struggle on entry. They've wasted such time as well, so there's no room to respond. And VP take it to OT. It feels almost like the exact same outcome as what we had on the very first map. It feels like the same game all over again. And the crazy bit about it is as well, this would be a trade of map picks. If VP are able to pick this up, that would mean we get Inferno. We get a best of one, effectively, to decide which one of these 2 legendary organizations make it to the RMR. So much riding on this. Instantly, we've got a bit of a tactical timeout called in on this one. Ice out the game a minute. Of course, both these teams have been playing so much CS over the past few hours. This has been a long best of 3 with only 2 maps played. We had 2 OTs in the first map. We have at least 1 OT guaranteed here. I'm not surprised they might need 5 minutes to use the toilet, grab a drink, maybe even just mentally reset for a second, Vince, because this has got to be a strenuous game now. I feel for the side that loses this and has another game to play.
Yeah, mate. I mean, if you and I are tired, you can't imagine what the players, the coach, like everyone is going through themselves. Like it is, after the first map as well, like an absolute barn burner of a game. To go into yet another one, absurd. JL had a fantastic game, though, in regulation. 23 kills, 8 assists with finishing over 100 ADR is a stellar performance by anyone's standards. He's had a really, really good game. Alexi, who was really solid in that first game over an overpass, he's having a rough one. You know, you've already touched on the fact that his spray was off, so it didn't allow him to transfer into second kill. Allowed the second player around Temple to pivot in and shut him down as well. Unfortunate timing, unfortunate state of affairs. But all the players now need to dust themselves off, shake away the cobwebs, get their focus back in, and we go again. Those previous rounds, they do matter. The past matters in this case of learning behavioral, tactical, repeated performances and trying your best to dissect how to best cure those. But man, I don't envy any of these players in this position right now with so much on the line. And as you said, even if VP get the success, we go again. We go to Inferno, which is going to be a whole different style of gameplay. That has the makings of potentially going the distance as well. I believe we're ready to get back underway here between these 2 teams. OT beckons. Na'Vi, Virtus.Pro coming in. Both teams going to be donning the AWP. No surprises there, but with the 10k starting money, it could put a lot of pressure, as we've seen so many times already, on the CT economy if things don't start well for you. So VP rushing out straight away with 3 players, as standard, on the B side of the map, and looking down into that con, that flashbang. Doing no real use for Wonderful. Did take a shot, gave his position away, but doesn't mean a great deal this early on in the round.
You don't want to throw away anything early into this one. Making the first mistake, being the first domino to fall into an OT like this, after a few moments of pause, after a few moments of respite for both of these teams, that's where momentum quite quickly comes back in to bite you. Wonderful was going contact with the orb. He was pre-scoped to not give up that audio cue, so by the time he got towards connector, he could try and take the peak. But the smoke timing comes in just the nick of time. Response here as well to smoke deep main. Bit has to give up that control. If he stayed ahead of it, he would have burnt in a Molotov. So he backs off. Meanwhile, Alexi B eats a nade at middle. No one was close to get contact from the audio cue, but at least it's damage done. That's what matters. They regroup and begin to put their plans to go for a play in towards the bomb site. Fame is tucked in on the cubby. Okay, Fame. What have you got for us here? 30 seconds on the clock. They bait them in. Mer works perfectly in unison with Fame. And they fired both of those opening frags, Vince. They've got an edge now.
They have to make sure it's still a sharp play. They can plunge into VP, but it's not going to happen. They fall on that sword, skewer themselves. And now Norbert and Jane are the last two players standing. Molly tossed into the cams. And two isolated, separated CT players going to try a two-pronged retake. But Norbert is there long before Jane is. He's been naded off, stuck in position. Wonderful misses his shot, but he does have the info for his troubles. And he has the backup behind him in heaven as well. It's a shot you expect him to land, but he will snatch it in the second time of asking. And these are the kind of positions where it makes perfect sense for Jane to just go ahead and save this because of the situation we mentioned earlier with the CT side economy and 10k starting money. He will snatch the life away of Alexi on the exit, but it will be Na'Vi that strike first, 13 and 12 in our OT, and apply that pressure directly to VP.
It's a big round for him to win. It looked scary. It looked really quite scary. The way that push went onto the bomb site, if they weren't able to respond so quickly on the flank, round through camera, then I think VP would have had that one. For what it is, though, it's 13-12. Na'Vi start it off with success, at least in the opening moments. And it goes again. James still has the AWP. At least he's got that to play with, the benefit of the big green gun being out. Flit's going to wait for the push-up. Molotov in his hands on close connector. He'll see if he can get that smoke down and bypass the push in. Wonderful, just dry peeks it. This is the play he wanted to go for in a prior round, but this time he finds success. There's no early Molotov. They beat down with the M4, but it's only good for one, and they're swarming the B-bomb site. James panics on the double scope, Vince. No response, no connection. It's all gone up in a puff of smoke.
I'm pretty sure that James heard the player peeking him from the back and it threw him off. I really do think he knew his days were numbered regardless, and it's that kind of like moment where you second guess yourself and it gets him killed without taking a kill in return. Unfortunate, very unfortunate, but more than enough time to retrieve the bomb and plant it down. Fame and Mia, they'd love to be able to hold on to that AWP that James dropped, but it's in no position on the site to even think about going for. Best case scenario is a couple of kills on the exit and maybe you trade up to an AK-47. But this round is a done deal. Na'Vi will have a 2-round lead. And VP again are up against it. I have to say, though, that both teams' T side has certainly shone brighter than their CT half. So maybe there's still a bit of hope. A few prayers that could be answered on the side of Virtus.Pro. But we do know that Na'Vi, once again here, Jacky, they're just tantalizingly a few steps away from that qualification. It's, let's be honest, most people expected coming into the close qualies that Na'Vi and VP would both make the RMR. And they still can both make the RMR. This kind of was expected. I think coming into this game, Na'Vi were the favourites to win this game. It's the fact that VP have had every opportunity to 2-0 this series themselves that's been quite surprising.
Yeah, that's the bit that makes it so much harder. It's a bitter pill to swallow. It's an easy one to look at as a result after the facts and be like, yeah, okay, this is kind of how I thought it would go. But to be here watching it played out in front of us and to see how these games have ebbed and flowed over the course of both maps, yeah, it definitely feels like a series where there were multiple moments where VP should have been able to lop the head off, slay the beast, move on, at least with a map under their belt, bare minimum. But Hasn't gone that way. And now you're staring death in the face, and it feels like the pieces that could do so much more for them are really starting to cool off. James had the AWP multiple times, sure, and at least they'll have the extra cash to work with off the back of the save scope, but the impact just hasn't been there. In situations where you really need him to be the backbone of the team, he has not delivered at the minute. Mert will at least be able to pick up an opening pick here towards middle, strikes on the first, and does win that encounter. They're going to wrap back around. They're going to start a little bit of a rotate on this one. See if they can link up, play together, maybe some Wolfpack style CS out through mid. Mer was good for the first pick, but is he good for any more?
The answer to that question is a resounding no. But information gathered. Ema now pushes forward into the side. Fame on the side of the pillar. As to smoke the sanctuary as a shrine to play off. Oh, they both go down without much of a fight on the side. I thought they had a better crossfire than that. I thought they'd be able to muster up some serious strength, but instead, Na'Vi on the precipice of taking a 15-12 lead. Going into that second OT half, it will be a flawless, clean sweep with all the pressure applied onto Virtus.Pro, and that is going to become the outcome of this situation. Na'Vi need to win one of the next 3 rounds, and they have qualified. They are at the RMR. Can VP make this T-side sing again? It was their better half in regulation, but a lot of time has elapsed since that was the case, and a few players have really shone bright. Wonderful in particular, it was mainly the JL show coming into this OT period. Wonderful has been on point.
Here we go then. Has to be flawless. That's the top and bottom of it. That's what they've got. Every round on the trot to force us into another overtime. That's what they need here for Virtus.Pro. Meanwhile, bombardment going in towards the B site early. A site rather. Oh, bit with a hammer. Hits the head of the first man as he strikes back against Fame, and already the pressure is mounting. Panicking now. VP, they recoil and reset their focus round towards the B site, leaving just James scoped in, waiting for the A main push. But this is looking scary, Vince. The body language not looking great for Virtus.Pro. And it only goes from bad to worse. Norbert caught out in the open. Dazed and confused on that one.
And looking like it may go from worse to over. Unless Flip, Mir, and James can masterfully craft a way back into this round. The time is in their favor. It's one of the few things they can be somewhat positive about. The positions of Na'Vi are looking strong, powerful. That's a trade Mia has to win to give them a chance. Molly down onto Con as well means that Flit is stuck on the wrong side, unable to do much about it. And whereas time at one point was in their favor, every second that passes allows Na'Vi to grow in strength. Flit stuck miles away from James, who is still watching the back of mid, also anticipating a rotation through, but he has to join his brethren, he has to join his teammate, and now he is the last man standing, missing the shot, and that will be Na'Vi qualifying for the RM